Howdy, y'all. Happy Sunday. Hope everybody was able to make it to church. If not, that's okay. But I encourage. But we're back for more Salted Word. Thank God. Now, I want y'all to notice something. And the last set that I did, when I started with a joke. I was like, oh, we're on chapter whatever, but we don't want to be in chapter 11. And when my phone was dying and we were wrapping it up, I just finished chapter 10. So we're starting chapter 11 today. Uh-oh. So, Salted Word, Salted Mark with Slim, Salted Love International Ministries. I hope everyone's well, and we're just going to jump into it. Now, we're starting from chapter 11 in Mark. And it says, and as they approached Jerusalem at Bethphage, and Bethany near the Mount of Olives, he sent two of his disciples, and said to them, go into the village opposite you, and immediately as you enter you will find a colt tied there, on which no one yet has ever sat. Untie it and bring it here. And if anyone says to you, why are you doing this? You say, the Lord has need of it, and immediately he will send it back here. And they went away and found a colt tied at the door outside in the street, and they untied it. And some of the bystanders were saying to them, what are you doing untying the colt? And they spoke to them just as Jesus had told them, and they gave them permission. See, just another one of those things where it's like, when God sends you to do something, he's going to make sure that you're able to do it. Because they could have stopped, that's technically, if you want to get, that's thievery, ain't it? I mean, we know that he was borrowing it. We know that God had a purpose for it. We know that that colt was there because God put it there, because God knew exactly what he was doing, as he always does. And he just, if you ever read in Genesis, when Abraham sent his slave to go get a wife for Isaac, everything that needed to happen was there. The slave said in his heart, let the woman fulfill these parameters, and she did, and it's just the way God works. He sets things up. It's just more of his glory. Okay, so, and they went away and they found the colt. Okay. And they brought the colt to Jesus and put their garments on it, and he sat upon it. And many spread their garments in the road, and others spread leafy branches in which they had cut from the fields. And those who went before and those who followed after were crying out, Hosanna! Blessed is he who comes in the name of the Lord. Blessed is the coming kingdom of our father David. Hosanna in the highest. Now remember, Jesus was from the lineage of David. God promised David someone to sit on the throne of Israel forever. And the Palms, this is where we get Palm Sunday from. I don't know if any of you are familiar with Palm Sunday. It comes before Easter. But this was Palm Sunday. They laid down the palms for Jesus to come into Jerusalem on the colt. And he entered Jerusalem and came into the temple, and after looking all around, and when they were saying Hosanna, I'm pretty sure Hosanna is God with us. Could be wrong on that one. Again, this one's kind of, Anyway. And he entered Jerusalem and came into the temple, and after looking all around, he departed for Bethany with the 12, since it was already late. And on the next day, when they had departed from Bethany, he became hungry. And seeing at a distance a fig tree in leaf, he went to see if perhaps he would find anything on it. And when he came to it, he found nothing but leaves, for it was not the season for figs. And he answered and said to it, so essentially, he asked this tree a question, I guess. He answered and said to it, for it was not the season for figs. May no one ever eat fruit from you again. And his disciples were listening. And they came to Jerusalem, and he entered the temple and began to cast out those who were buying and selling in the temple, and overturned the tables of the money changers and the seats of those who were selling doves. And he would not permit anyone to carry goods through the temple. And he began to teach and say to them, is it not written, my house shall be called a house of prayer for all the nations, but you have made it a robber's den? And the chief priests and the scribes heard this and began seeking how to destroy him, for they were afraid of him, for all the multitude was astonished at his teaching. And whenever evening came, they would go out of the city. And as they were passing by in the morning, they saw the fig tree withered from the roots up. And being reminded, Peter said to him, Rabbi, behold, the fig tree which you cursed has withered. And Jesus answered, saying to them, have faith in God. Truly I say to you, whoever says to this mountain, be taken up and cast into the sea, and does not doubt in his heart, but believes that what he says is going to happen, it shall be granted him. Therefore I say to you all, things for which you pray and ask, believe that you have received them, and they shall be granted to you. And whenever you stand praying, forgive, if you have anything against anyone, so that your Father also who is in heaven may forgive you your transgressions. But if you do not forgive, neither will your Father who is in heaven forgive your transgressions. There's a few things here. First of all, obviously the mountain being thrown into the sea. Now, I don't know about you, but this is kind of doubling back to the child thing, how we're supposed to be like children. I know that this is true. Now, I'm going to go ahead and say it has to fit within the parameters of God's will, because we can't tell God what to do. But where's that faith? You can't have any doubt. Like, I mean, he said it himself. You can't have doubt in your heart. And the slightest shred of doubt is still doubt. Now, as much as I read this and I believe it, when I say to a mountain, get up and be thrown in the sea, there's that part of me. It's just in me. It's just so rooted by logic, by this world, by everything around us, that it's just like, it might not happen. So I don't know if I'll ever be at a place until I'm dead of this flesh that I will have such faith to accomplish such things. Only if God so permits it. But then there's responsibility too, isn't there? That's why I feel like Jesus could definitely throw mountains in the sea left and right if he wanted to. But you never see him do that. You never see him do anything crazy like that. Because you got to have responsibility. That's a lot of power to walk around with. So, but again, it also falls within, is this within God's will? Like, you know, because Jesus was perfectly aligned. Jesus was just, he was Jesus. He was perfectly aligned. Will we be that aligned? Can we be that aligned? I mean, I'm sure we can be. See, I feel like there's a prompt when it comes to these things. Like, I can't just say what I want to happen. Because remember, Jesus, the prayer Jesus gave us was, Father, let your will be done on earth as it is in heaven. Not my will. Not I get to go around and choose what God's going to do. But when God tells me that he's going to do something, but this is what I got to do. So if God told me, say to that mountain, be moved. Now I got what I need. I got the okay. I got the go ahead from the Father. All I got to do is say it, and he's going to do it. But if it's because it's what he wants, but if it's what I want, I'm going to have that doubt. Because I'm not sure that he's going to align with what I want. I need to align with what he wants, not him with, not vice versa. And the forgiveness. Judge not, lest ye be judged. If you do not forgive, neither will your Father who is in heaven forgive you. Guys, it kind of goes, it's what I love about it. This is the way. God's not going to do for us what we won't do for him. And he won't ask us to do anything that he won't already do for us. I mean, if you think about it, he's already done everything. And this is kind of a thing. When you look back at Genesis, he asked Abraham to sacrifice Moses. He asked Abraham to sacrifice Isaac, which technically is Moses, because if he would have really killed Isaac, we would have never got Moses. But Abraham was going to do it, but God didn't make him do it. God stopped him from doing it. But then God sent his son, and he actually sacrificed him. God never asked anybody to do anything that he won't do himself, and he proved it. So we're going to wrap this one up, though. That was verse 26 in Mark 11. Salted word. Let's roll into the next one.